Good morning, my ninth grade students. How are you? I hope that all of you are okay. Today, inshallah, we are going to discuss the worksheet that I gave to you about reported speech statements. Please pay attention with me and just try to notice how did I change or how I'm going to change from direct into indirect speech. انتبهوا معي وركزوا وشوفوا كيف أنا رح أحول من الدايركت للindirect speech. So, our lesson for today is about reported speech exercises. Your teacher Tamara Ayyad is going to explain this exercise for you, so please pay attention with me. What we are going to discuss today is a case for Sherlock Holmes. Who doesn't know Sherlock Holmes? He's one of my favorite characters, you know this? And I guess that Sherlock Holmes, you have heard about him so much. Last year, I gave to my 8th grade students same case, and they have done it in a very good way. So please follow up and pay attention with me. So, this case is about who killed Mr. Moneybag. Who killed Mr. Moneybag? And now let's take a closer look and look here at this word. This is not a closer. This is a closer. Closer look. There's a difference between a close when you pronounce S as is, Z, close, when you pronounce it as close. Close, it means what? Shut the door. بمعنى أغلق. While close معناها someone who's very close to me or a place where it's very near to you. معناها قريب. إما بيكون شخص مقرب لإلك أو بيكون close place, this a close friend, this a close place and these things. But usually we use it for what? We use it for someone who's very close to us. يعني someone who's so precious for us. Okay. But here in this closer look, it means what? نظرة مقربة. It means نظرة مقربة. يعني خلينا ناخد هيك closer look now about this case. Okay. We have here in this case a man, an old man called Mr. Moneybag. He's very rich old man. Very rich. Okay? What do you mean by rich? Rich here. Rich معناها غني. He has lots of money. This man has lots of money and he's a very old man who was killed last night. So there is a murder. في عنا هون جريمة قتل. هو قتل ليلة البارحة. A case for Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Watson. You know Mr. Watson? He's the assistant of Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Watson is the assistant of Sherlock Holmes. Here is what the people in the house told Watson. Then here we have a murder. Okay. عنا هون إحنا قضية قتل أو جريمة قتل. And we have our investigator, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, and his assistant, Watson. Watson is going to ask the people in the house what happened at that night, what their opinion about Mr. Moneybag, and he will ask the wife and the niece and other workers in the house. يعني رح يسأل بنت أخوه أو بنت أخته هي، رح يسأل زوجته، رح يسأل كمان two workers from the house، رح يسأل اثنين من البيت اللي بيشتغلوا عنده. So let's see, okay, what the people in the house told Mr. Watson. If you come to this page, I didn't ask you to change it from direct into indirect, but we are going to explain it because this is the will. The will معناها إيش؟ وصية Mr. Moneybag. I have lived together with my wife, Marguerite Moneybag, for the last 35 years, but I don't love her anymore. I found out that she has been unfaithful to me. She has had a love affair with our gardener, Mr. Willie Green. I cannot forgive her. My heart belongs to my beloved niece, Miss Susie Campbell, who will receive all my money and all my belongings in case of my death. Marguerite shall get nothing because of her love affair with this horrible Scotchman. Okay, so we have here a betrayed, we can say it. So this is a will, and in this will, Mr. Moneybag gave all of his money for his beloved niece. Okay, no need to know more information about the will. So from the will, you may discover who's the killer exactly. So we have two suspicious person here. عندنا شخصين مشكوك بأمرهم اللي هم الجاردنر, which is a Scotsman, and Mrs. Moneybag. Okay, so let's see what did each one of them say. But before here, Sherlock Holmes tells Watson about the alibis اللي هي ايش؟ حجج الغياب، يعني حجة غياب كل واحد فيهم. But first, before we start, let's revise the reported speech. قبل ما نبلش ونعمل transfer أو change from direct into indirect, خلينا نعمل هيك بس مراجعة سريعة ل reported speech. We use the reported speech to say indirectly what another person said. يعني إحنا بنحكي بطريقة غير مباشرة كلام شخص آخر. مثل ما حكينا هون the changes بالtenses as I showed you before, ورجيتكم هذا الحكي كله قبل. بعدين عندنا الادفيربيال of time أو حكينا time expression والplace طبعا، مثل yesterday بتصير the day before أو the previous day, both of them correct. like عندنا personal pronouns كمان، بس إحنا حكينا يا مس إنه personal pronouns depending on the context. شو يعني context؟ اللي هو سياق الجملة أو الفقرة الموجودة بين إيدي. أوكي، so مثلا الI بتصير he و she، اليو بتصير I he she حسب depending on the context. Because the would do might to should will past perfect simple will past perfect continuous, there is no changes، ما في تغييرات نهائيا. Let's start with Mrs. Moneybag. Let's say, what did she say to Mr. Watson? I'm very sad. I cannot believe that he's dead. I loved my husband very much. We led a very happy marriage. We have been married for 35 years now, and I cannot imagine my life without him. Georgie was such a good husband. This is the widow. Widow اللي هي أرملة مين؟ أرملة Mr. Moneybag. This is the widow. This is what she has said for Mr. Watson. هذا اللي حكته لواتسون اللي هو assistant of Sherlock Holmes. Now Watson is going to to report what she has said to who? To Sherlock Holmes. I'm very sad. I cannot believe that he's dead. Okay, now let's change it. When she say I'm very sad, she said, or Mr. Moneybag said, خلينا نبلش, that she was. شفنا هون الآي لإيش تحولت لشي؟ بناء على إيش؟ عن الكونتكست اللي هي سياق التكست الموجودة قدامنا. والآن شو صارت؟ was، لأنه أنا بحول من البريزنت للباست. That she was very sad, comma she برضو نفس الشيء لأنه الآي بتعود على مين؟ على Mrs. Moneybag. She could not or couldn't believe that he's dead. She will loved him but simple بتصير إيش؟ had loved. She had loved my husband. شو بتصير؟ her husband. My husband. She had loved her husband very much. الوي هون بتعود على Mrs. Moneybag و Mr. Moneybag, so we turn it into they because Mr. Watson is going to report what she has said. They had led a very happy marriage. زواجهم كان سعيد جدا. We have been married for 35 years. we هون برضو بتتحول ل they. Okay, they will have بتصير had been married. إذن هون شو بتصير؟ they had been married for 35 years. when now شو بتصير؟ then. and I بتصير I she. and she can't imagine. can't شو بتصير couldn't imagine my life, her life without him. Georgie was شو بتصير was هون past simple بتصير past perfect simple والتصريف الثالث من was were اللي هو been. He أو Georgie had been such a good husband. Okay, let's see if my answer is correct or not. Okay, you can take a look here. Mrs. Moneyback said that she was very sad. She couldn't believe that he was dead. He was dead. Okay, she had loved her husband very much. Okay, they had led a very happy marriage. They had been married for 35 years then, and she couldn't imagine her life without him. George had been such a good husband. Okay, so this is what Mrs. Moneybag had said to who? To Watson, and Watson reported to who? To Sherlock Holmes. هذا الكلام اللي حكته Mrs. Moneybag، ولما سمعوا واتسون منها نقلوا بالطريقة هاي from direct into indirect لمين لشارلوك هولمز. وإذا بتلاحظوا هون في عنا quotation marks for the whole paragraph، للفقرة كاملة في عندي quotation marks. Okay, now let's sorry for this. Okay, sorry for that technical problem. طيب Mr. Fast is the second witness. Okay, نيجي هلا لمستر فاست. What did Mr. Fast tell Mr. Watson? I won't find a better employer here. I will leave tomorrow, but never forget him. Mr. Moneybag employed me 20 years ago, and he has always been kind and generous. I believe there were problems in his marriage, but he never talked about it. Okay, now if I want to change it from direct into indirect, or let's suppose that you are Mr. Watson and you are going to change it from direct into indirect. تخيل انك انت Mr. Watson and you are going to report these words or this speech for me. I am Sherlock Holmes. So Mr. Fast, you will tell me that Mr. Fast said that he wouldn't، لأنه عندي هون want، so شو بتصير wouldn't. احنا حكينا will بتصير would، وإذا كان عندي نفي عادي بتصير wouldn't. He wouldn't find a better employer يعني مسؤول عنه، اللي هو الشخص المسؤول عنه. I will leave tomorrow. I هون شو بتصير he، والهي عايدة عمين على Mr. Fast، والهي هون برضو عليه عائدة. He would leave tomorrow. شو بتصير tomorrow؟ the next أو the following day. the next day أو the following day. Okay, so here he would leave the following day or the next day, but never forget him. But never forgot him. Mr. Moneybag employed me 20 years ago. Mr. Moneybag had employed him. Okay, because we have past simple, so we change it into past perfect simple. Had employed him 20 years ago. 20 years ago here, we need to know how do we change it. Okay, so what is the change for ago here? So what is the change for ago? Ago, before. Ago becomes before. Okay, so هون شو بنحكي؟ بنقول Mr. Fast said that he would not find a better employer there. الهير بتصير there. He would leave the next day, but never forgot him. Mr. Moneybag had employed him 20 years before, and he had always been kind and generous. I بتصير he لأنه بتعود على fast. He had believed ولا believed. He believed. Why? Because I have here present simple. he believed والهي برضو بتعود عليه على Mr. Fast. He believed that okay he believed there were الوير بتصير ايش had been there had been problems in his marriage. الهز عمين عايدة على Mr. Moneybag but he never talked. هون talked بقى symbol بتصير but he had never talked about it. إذن هو عمره ما حكى عنه. Okay, now let's check the answer. So now let's check the answer. Mr. Fast said that he wouldn't find a better employer there. He would leave the following day but never forgot him. Mr. Moneybag had employed him 20 years before and he had always been kind and generous. He believed there had been problems in his marriage but had never talked about it. Move now to Mr. Green, the gardener. So we are going to talk about Mr. Green, which is the gardener. The gardener. Okay. Let's say, what did the gardener, Mr. Green, say to Watson? I haven't seen him for days. He hasn't been in the garden. My boss wasn't interested in my work. He only cared for money. Well, his wife is different, and so I am very happy that I have the opportunity of working here. Okay, now let's see, what did Mr. Green say? Mr. Green said, what did he say? That he hadn't seen him for days. إذن هون, this is the first sentence, that he hadn't seen him for days. He hasn't been in the garden. He hadn't been in the garden. واللي هي بتعود على مين؟ على Mr. Green ولا بتعود على Mr. Moneybag؟ Okay. He hadn't been in the garden بتعود على Mr. Moneybag. My boss wasn't interested in my work. wasn't بتصير ايش؟ hadn't been interested in my work. My boss had not been interested in my work. ما كان يهتم بشغلي. He only had cared for money. Well, his wife was different, and so I was very happy that I had the opportunity of working there. إذن حكينا هون, he hadn't seen him for days. He hadn't been in the garden. His boss wasn't بتصير hadn't been interested hadn't interested in his work. He only cared بتصير cared هون. He only had cared for what? For money. Well, his wife الإز بتصير was different, and so I am very happy. إذن he was very happy that he had the opportunity of working there. The opportunity of working there. Okay, let's see the answer. What is the answer? Okay, Mr. Green said that he had never seen him for days. He hadn't been in the garden. His boss hadn't been. Okay, هون أنا حكيتها أول مرة hadn't been, بعدين قلت لكم hadn't interested. لا, هي hadn't been interested لأنه interested هون adjective. In his work, he only had cared for money. يعني هو بس كان يهتم بالmoney. Well, his wife was different, and he was very happy that he had the opportunity. Opportunity يعني the chance of working for her. Of working for her. Okay. Last one is Miss Campbell. Campbell is the niece of Mr. Moneybag. هي بتكون بنت أخته. Let's see, what did she say? My uncle was often sad. We had tea together only last week, and he told me that his marriage wasn't so happy after all. I last saw him at 6 o'clock yesterday, he was entering the house. I'm very sad. So this is who, this is the niece. Let's change it. Mrs. or Miss Campbell said what? That hair, الماي تحولت لhair وهذا ملكية، الماي بتصير hair بناء على إنه Miss Campbell. That her uncle was often, had been, often sad. We had tea together. We بتصير they had tea together only last week بتصير the previous week. Okay, and he told me and he told her, okay, that his marriage wasn't بتصير hadn't so happy after all. I last saw him بتصير I she last had seen him at 6 o'clock yesterday بتصير the previous day. Okay, he was entering the house بتصير he had been entering the house because we have past continuous, so we change it into past perfect continuous. He had been entering the house. I'm very sad. She was very sad. Okay, let's see the answers. So Miss Campbell said that her uncle had been often sad. They had had tea together only the previous week, and he had told her that his marriage hadn't been so happy after all. She last had seen him at 6 o'clock the day before. He had been entering the house. She was very sad. She was very sad. So in your point of view, who killed Mr. Moneybag? After hearing all the speeches of the witnesses or the people, the members of the house, even from the family or from the workers, do you think that the one who killed Mr. Moneybag is one of the family member or is one of the workers؟ هل هو أحد العمال أو واحد من العيلة؟ So, who's the killer? Mrs. Moneybag, Miss Campbell, Mr. Fast, and the gardener. Which one do you think? It's up to you to think and see who's the killer and discover the killer exactly. Who's the killer? Who was the killer? We don't know, but leave this for your intelligence. اترك هالشي لذكائك. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to share and subscribe my channel. Please put like, share, subscribe, and press the bell button in order to get everything new from my channel. This is a very hard work, so please, if you have something good to say it, you can say it. If you have something bad, leave your bad comments for yourselves. Okay, thank you so much all of you. See you inshallah in next video.